Good morning to all my friends and family, and welcome to this episode of Jim's 5 a.m. Club. It's Wednesday morning, the second last day of work for this year, and it looks like it's going to be a beautiful summer's morning here in Sydney town. It's just before I start work, so I've got about a half hour to use up. So I thought I'd take us on a walk and talk and chat to you about a book summary that I came across on the internet by an author known as Gary Vaynerchuk, who's written a few interesting books, and he's a marketing and business guru. So the book that we're going to go through today is entitled AskGaryVee. So it's a book which is an accumulation of knowledge and wisdom from Gary Vee, from a marketing, from a business perspective, which has a number of life hacks that we can use in our personal lives, our business lives, and things that we may want to consider using to tweak our engagement with people, because at the end of the day, a lot of this wisdom, a lot of this knowledge is valuable, and common sense, should I add as well. So the material that we're going to go through today from this book on Gary Vee is nothing going to be, all that different to the sort of things that we already know. But sometimes having somebody reinforce, sometimes having somebody say the obvious again and again is important, because it allows us to understand that each and every one of us has a unique life. We all have a calling or callings that we're invited to chase, to express, and there are many gifts and rewards that are available for us to harvest based on our works and based on us rising to that challenge. Nobody's going to come and tap us on the shoulder to ask us to live our calling. Nobody's going to tap us on our shoulder and give us the promotion that we deserve. Nobody's going to tap us on the shoulder to help us achieve our goals. It's up to each and every one of us to identify what those dreams are, and then to chase them, and to do all that we can within our power, using the various gifts, charismata, the God-given gifts that we have, to make or to bring forward those dreams and those aspirations. So Gary, in his wisdom in this book, tells us that there is no quick cure, and that the hard work matters, and that patience is what overrides it. And to also remind us that it's the hard road that we take rather than the easy road. It's the hard road that we take that is basically going to lead us to where we want to go. That's where the gold is. That's where the wow is. It's in those difficult hours on that difficult path. And we're invited to live and to operate just outside our comfort zone, because that's where your growth and development is as well. So not to be lazy, not to sit back, not to chill out, but to actually be a go-getter and to do all that we can to deliver on the dreams that we may have in our lives. He mentions that it's important to have big, clear goals and to push to the edges to try and receive whatever you can, to pick fruit from the edges, to pick fruit from the periphery, and not just to wait for the fruit to drop, but to climb that fruit tree and to edge across to the periphery where the fruit is the ripest, the juiciest, and the freshest, where it's closer to the sun. And it's a beautiful analogy. And he talks about the clouds and the dirt. For us to have big, lofty dreams, but to also put in the hard work, to know that it's not about just having the goal, it's not about just having the dream, but it's all about doing the work and making sure that the dreams that you have, the goals that you have, align to your values, and that your actions align so that you're congruent. So everything you do, everything you say, everything you think is going to be aligned to what you want to achieve, because it's that focus, that focused effort that makes the big difference. As AskGaryVee also alludes to, he says that if you have those big, lofty dreams, if you're willing to put in the hard yards and put in the hard work, it's going to pay off. Because where those difficult dreams are, or where those lofty dreams are, and where that hard work is where you're going to face your least competition. That is really profound. Lots of people talk, but very, very few people talk and act in a congruent way. And this is where AskGaryVee suggests that the massive opportunity is in these lofty dreams and the hard work, because that's where the fewest people are going to be on that mountain, on that trail, on the high road, is where very, very few people will cross your path. Whereas on the easy street, taking it easy, cruising, having a good time, and not doing very much, is where you're going to find the most competition, but it's the most competition to mediocrity. So that's not where you want to end up. So AskGaryVee is suggesting that if you have a dream, go for it. Be a go-getter and work hard at it, because you'll surprise yourself in that you're not going to have very much competition along the way, because it's not the place where most people frequent. The other interesting point that he makes, and I love this point, is not to waste your time trying to convince people who don't like you or don't like your product. Focus on the ones, and focus your love and effort on those who do like your product, who are your customers, who like you as a person. Because I think we've all learnt over time, regardless of what we do, there are always going to be people who just don't like us for whatever reason, who don't like our brand, who don't like our face, who don't like our name, who don't like our age, who don't like the colour of our skin, who don't like our religion. Who knows what it is to drive them not to like you? You know, there are people who may not like you because you remind them of somebody else. You may remind them of their father, or of an ex-boyfriend, an ex-girlfriend, a bad time in their lives. You know, something which you have absolutely no control over will influence their worldview and will influence how they see you and everything that you represent, including your family, your friends, your brand. So don't take it personally. Just understand that there are always going to be people who don't like us for whatever reason. And usually that reason is not because of something that you've done, but it's something that is completely outside of your control, and it's not worth trying to fix because it sometimes is unfixable. You know, people just don't like certain people. People don't like certain personalities. People are threatened by certain things, by different things, because at the end of the day, we've all had a very different life. We all have a different background. We've all had a different past. We're all going to experience different slithers of reality along the path, along the way. And those slithers of reality are going to compound over time. They're going to snowball, getting to a point with confirmation biases that people have, that people are going to be rewarded for their beliefs, regardless of what their beliefs are, whether or not the beliefs are empowering or disempowering. The universe, the world, our reticular activating system will be working really, really hard to filter out things which don't support your beliefs, don't support your current worldview, don't support or do support the things that you identify with. And regardless of what you do, regardless of the arguments that you put forward, you're not going to change people who identify with certain beliefs and certain things. So Gary Vee's call to action here is to not worry about it. Don't focus on it. Don't get sucked into that vortex, that never-ending negative downward vortex. And don't waste your time trying to convince people who don't like you or your product. Focus your love and effort on those who do. Because the people who like you, the people who believe in you, will always support you no matter what. So it's important when we're looking for business partners, or when we're looking for people to partner with, when we're looking for friendships, when we're looking for people, for social circles, for social orbits, to look for people who have skills and capabilities that complement your weaknesses and don't compete with your strengths. This is a valid point as well. Now, in business, in work, what you really need is for people to complement your weaknesses. If you've got people who are just like you, who have the same strengths as you, then all you're going to be doing is, trying to beat each other. but without, I guess, benefiting overall, because you're not complementing and supplementing the weaknesses that each may have. So we need to have a rounding out of our capabilities. We need to have a rounding out, a balance within a business context, to have people who can do the things that others can't, who can supplement and complement and bring, as we said, that balance. So we have a spectrum of skills, a spectrum of solution, and to try and understand that we need to live just outside of our comfort zones and to embrace discomfort. This is another powerful, profound point that this author makes, but many authors make. In order to grow and develop, you basically need to push yourself. In order to grow and develop, you need to live and to work and to strive just outside your comfort zone. And the emphasis is just outside. You need to lean outside your comfort zone. We're not saying to lean right outside and to be completely out of your depth. What we're saying is to have a foot within your comfort zone, but also to have a foot to be stepping outside of your comfort zone, so that you're constantly doing things which are not normal, are not your normal things, but you need to be doing things that are constantly keeping you on edge and forcing you to grow and develop and to become a better version of yourself, because it's through experience, through varied experience, that we learn, we develop patterns, we find solutions, we build networks, we gain satisfaction and fulfillment by doing the things that we haven't tried before, that we couldn't do before. So a very powerful point for everybody, from the individual to businesses, to keep on pushing, to keep on trying different things, to keep on trying to achieve the same goal, even though you haven't been able to achieve it before. We are all invited to try and do things differently in order to try and achieve a certain outcome. Because as I've mentioned on other vlogs, each and every one of us have a different calling. Each and every one of us have a different fate. Just because your parents, your grandparents, your schoolmates, your partner weren't able to achieve something, doesn't necessarily that you're not going to be the first. Even if you couldn't do it before, doesn't mean that if you try again, you're not going to be able to achieve it. Because we need the right timing. You need to be in the right place at the right time, and it needs to be manifest. You need to dream about it, and you need to work hard to try and achieve it, but it may not be the right timing. You may need some additional experience. You may need something extra, or you just may need more time. So what the author here is suggesting is, give it a crack and give it a crack again, and sooner or later you'll realize, you'll accept what God's will is for you. Just like when I was younger, I'd go up to Nelson's Bay, or I'd go to the entrance, and I'd see people on a jetty, all fishing using similar rods, similar line, similar baits, hooks, swivels, leads, traces, similar everything. And yet not everybody would be getting similar results. Some of it was due to technique, poor technique versus good technique, but other things were based on things outside of people's control. It was just luck that the big fish would pick a certain person's bait or hook to get hooked onto. You know, not every person would catch a fish. Not every person would catch a big fish. Some people would catch more fish, other people no fish. But it was completely random to a certain extent. But you had to be in it to win it. Every time somebody goes fishing, they don't know what's going to transpire. They don't know what's going to latch on to their hook, their line. You know, there is luck involved. You know, you can go fishing at the same spot every single day and not catch anything for ages and then catch a massive fish. It's happened to me. So, as we say, it's based on one's fate. It's based on luck. It's based on skill. It's based on perseverance. It's based on patience. But you never know when it's your turn to succeed. And that's what keeps on bringing us to the table. That's what keeps on getting me to play golf. Because even though you play a lot of bad shots, it's that one good shot that keeps you coming back, that makes you satisfied when you get that ball to land on the green or when you hole that difficult putt. They're the sort of things in our lives that make life really interesting and really fun. So the author here invites us to live just outside our comfort zone and be a go-getter, and to know that we really need to be authentic, because AskGaryVee says, and I agree with this as well, that people cotton on, people realise if you're faking it. You know, if you're faking a relationship or you're faking a friendship or you're faking whatever you're faking, people realise they can identify fakes, and people don't trust people who are faking it. Gary mentions here that we need to invest in ourselves and build experience and patterns, as we said before, because everything in life has a pattern, and the more patterns that you build in your mind, the more solutions you're going to automatically be able to come up with. You're not going to have to think about things, because it's just going to automatically pop into your head, because you've seen it before, you've done it before, or you've seen somebody else do it before, or you've read about somebody else doing it before. That's one of the beauties of Jim's 5 a.m. Club, is that we are developing a massive library of OPE, other people's experiences. Because in life, we can gain our own experience through the work and things that we do, but not everybody is going to experience the full spectrum of life. We're only going to capture slithers of reality, and each person's slither of reality is added to previous slithers of reality, and we gain our worldview, which we use to benchmark and baseline our decisions to. They help us understand how life works. But sometimes we can also add to our slithers of reality through inheritance. We can inherit other people's experiences. We can inherit other people's slithers of reality. And as I mentioned, we can compare and contrast it to our slithers of reality to see if what we're seeing, if what we're experiencing, we're tasting, we're thinking, we're feeling, is what other people are experiencing. And we can do it through, as I mentioned before, through life, inheriting it from other people, from our parents, our friends, our school teachers, our workmates. But we can also gain it through books where people have done some heavy lifting, have done some deep thinking in order to document and capture their thoughts and their experiences. So through Jim's 5 AM Club, we've captured over 1,000 books, closing in on 1,500 vlogs, where we can use that experience, we can use those life hacks to help us make better decisions, to help us compare and contrast our slithers of reality with other people's slithers of reality, and to build patterns. And once you build patterns, the more patterns that you have, then the more pattern sequences you're able to identify and say to yourself, aha, I know what's happening here. I've seen it before. I've read about this before. I understand this. And then you can make decisions which are going to serve you and make you a better person. The author here talks about the importance on betting on your strengths and building your capability, and to become the best storyteller you can be. It's all about the story. And he talks about jabs and hooks. And jabs, using a boxing terminology, is about building rapport and building relationships. And hooks are about closing and having those important discussions where you listen, you respond, and then you ask for the business, you ask for the feedback, which is another key element that Gary talks about, the importance of receiving feedback, and to know that the absence of pressure and obligation make people want to reciprocate. Now, not putting pressure on people to respond, not putting pressure on people to do things, makes people want to like you more and to reciprocate. And it's important to win over the youth, according to this author. Win over the youth and to be extraordinary in what you offer and what you deliver. And when it comes to marketing, to use a mix of platforms and not to abandon any particular platform, which is quite topical these days with Elon Musk and Twitter. And to understand that everyone with the platforms that we have today and the technology that we have today, everyone is an influencer. Everybody's view counts, even though it may not be an educated view, even though it may not be the popular view. What AskGaryVee is saying is that through the leverage of social media, everybody can become an influencer, and everybody can be an emissary of information or misinformation, or even worse, disinformation. So to be careful and to be discerning in terms of who you consider to be an influencer, because whoever you identify with becomes your ego. So I hear lots of people who listen to videos and have certain influences on social media, but a lot of those social media influences, in my opinion, are leading people astray, are disempowering them, are removing trust of government, trust of family, trust of each other, and pushing social and political agendas which are contrary to the agendas or to the message that we've all grown up with. So once again, as Gary Vee says, and rightly says, everybody can be an influencer. So we need to be careful with who we look up to, who we listen to, and to make sure that we what's the word I'm looking for? That we engage critical thinking with what we read, what we hear, and by all means listen and read and have an open mind, but be careful that your open mind does not become a garbage tip, a rubbish tip for other people's rubbish. Be on guard at all times and engage and employ critical thinking. Make sure you do your research and you triangulate all the things that you read to make sure that it does come from a reliable source and it's not just featherweight opinion coming from some influencer, because we need to understand that there are opinions which are heavyweight and there are opinions that are featherweight, and it's up to us to discern the difference between a heavyweight opinion and a featherweight opinion from a featherweight mind. So the next point that the author makes here is that business DNA stems from the top in terms of values, beliefs and actions, and it's critical that the management, the senior management, walk the talk and are not just mouthing values and mouthing beliefs and mouthing opinions without living those values. Another important point for all of us. And that happy employees are more important than happy customers. And having the right employees is key. According to Gary, interview 5 and hire 1. And he employs the 80-20 principle, where good enough is enough. You don't need to be a perfectionist in business, otherwise you'll never make a decision and you'll never ever get anything done, because you'll be waiting for perfect information, for the perfect timing, and that will not happen. Just like it doesn't happen in business, it won't happen in your personal life either. So be a go-getter and make sure that you're pushing yourself outside of your comfort zone on a constant basis, and that execution is the key. It's not about having the ideas, but it's all about doing those ideas. And I think that's about it. So it's all about time for me to head round and start work. This vlog's gone for over half an hour, which is great because it is a great book. So what I'll do is I'll head off. So I'll wish you all the very best for the rest of the day, the rest of this Wednesday. And I look forward to coming to you again from a different place with a different message of empowerment, where we go through and learn from other people's experiences in the form of book summaries, in the form of personal experiences and other things that we get to come across. Take care, wishing you all the best, and we'll chat again soon. Yassas, and bye for now.